Sunny dreamt of a mountain, jagged and lonesome. It dwarfed other peaks of the mountain chain, cutting the night sky with its sharp edges. A radiant moon bathed its slopes in the ghostly pale light. On one of the slopes, the remnants of an old road stubbornly clung to the rocks. Here and there, paved stones could be seen through the snow. They were worn and showed signs of weathering. A sheer cliff face formed an impregnable wall to the right side of the road. On the left, a silent black sea of nothingness indicated an endless fall. Strong winds crashed into the mountain over and over again, screaming in powerless rage. Suddenly, the moon fell over the horizon. The sun rose from the west, streaked across the sky, and disappeared in the east. Snowflakes jumped from the ground and returned to the embrace of the clouds. Sunny realized that he was seeing the flow of time in reverse. In an instant, hundreds of years flew by. The snow retreated, bearing the old road. Cold shivers ran down Sunny's back as he noticed human bones littering the ground. A moment later, the bones were gone, and in their place, a slave caravan appeared, moving backward down the mountain. The clamoring of chains echoed hauntingly through the peak. Time slowed, stopped, and then resumed its usual pace. A loud voice boomed in Sunny's ears.
Aspirant, welcome to the nightmare spell. Prepare for your first trial.
Sunny searched around for the source of the voice, but saw nothing. What the hell was that? With nothing and no one to guide him, Sunny began to walk along the snowy mountain path. Step, step, another step. A dull ache was radiating through Sunny's bleeding feet as he was shivering from the cold. His threadbare tunic was nearly useless against the biting wind. There was a sudden jolt of pain from his wrists. Sunny looked down to see that he was now wearing iron shackles. The frozen metal rubbed on his raw and broken skin, sending sharp pangs of pain with his every step. No, I can't be part of the caravan. This isn't what the dream realm is supposed to be like. Sunny looked up and down, noticing a long chain winding up the road, with dozens and dozens of hollow-eyed people, slaves, just like him, shackled to it at small intervals. A man with broad shoulders and a bloodied back walked with a measured gait ahead of him. Behind him, a shifty-looking guy with quick, desperate eyes quietly cursed under his breath in a language that Sunny did not know but somehow understood. From time to time, armed horsemen in ancient-style armor would pass by, giving the slaves menacing looks. Sunny expected the first nightmare to be bad, but this wasn't like anything he anticipated. He was more bewildered than panicked. Usually, freshly chosen aspirants would find themselves in a scenario that presented them with a fair amount of agency. They would become members of privileged or warrior castes, with plenty of access to necessary weapons to at least try to tackle any conflict. Starting as a powerless slave, shackled and already half dead, was as far from being ideal as one could imagine. However, the spell was as much about challenge as it was about balance. As the old policeman said, it created trials, not executions. So Sunny was pretty sure that to counter this abysmal start, it would reward him with something good, a powerful aspect at least. Let's see, how do I do this? Remembering popular webtoons he read as a child, Sunny concentrated and thought about words like status, myself, and information. Indeed, as soon as he focused, shimmering runes appeared in the air in front of him. Once again, although he did not know this ancient alphabet, the meaning behind it was somehow clear. His eyes flitted over his bleak profile, which read, Name, sunless. True name, none. Soul rank, dormant. Memories, none. Echoes, none. Attributes, fated. Mark of divinity, child of shadows. Aspect, Temple Slave. Sonny wasn't surprised to have the lowest possible soul rank. This was his first nightmare. He had hoped he might be gifted a memory or an echo. Memories were magical items that could be obtained from the dream realm and summoned by the dreamer. Similarly, echoes were creatures the dreamer could call on for aid, but it seemed the nightmare spell didn't see fit to grant Sonny any resources. Sonny knew he couldn't focus on what he hadn't been granted. Life had taught him that a long time ago. He remembered the cop's advice and focused on his aspect. Temple Slave. Didn't sound promising, but he dug deeper, pulling up the aspect description. The runes read, Aspect description. Slave is a useless wretch with no skills or abilities worthy of mention. A temple slave is just the same, except much rarer. At this point, Sonny finally lost his composure.
No useless aspects, my ass! This has to be a fucking joke! I was supposed to get a fair shot!
Sonny stared at the runes, trying to convince himself that he may be seeing things. Surely he couldn't be that unlucky, right? Preoccupied by his thoughts, he lost the rhythm of his steps and stumbled, pulling the chain down with his weight. Immediately, the shifty guy behind him screamed,
Yeah, I'm shifty, see? Horse bastard, watch where you're going!
Sonny hurriedly dismissed the runes, which were only visible to him, and tried to recover his balance. A moment later, he was once again walking steadily. However, not before inadvertently pulling on the chain one more time. The man behind him snarled,
You little shit, I'm gonna kill you!
The broad-shouldered man in front of Sonny chuckled without turning his head.
Why bother? The weakling will be dead by sunrise anyway. The mountain will kill him. It'll kill you and me too, just a bit later. I don't know what the Imperials are thinking, forcing us into this cold.
The shifty guy gasped.
Speak for yourself, fool! I'm planning to survive!
Sonny silently shook his head and concentrated on not falling again. What a charming pair. Suddenly, a third voice joined the conversation from somewhere further back. This one sounded gentle and intelligent. This mountain pass is usually much warmer this time of year. We just had really bad luck. Also, I would advise you against harming this boy. The Weasley man sounded annoyed.
Why's that?
Sonny turned his head slightly. He still couldn't catch sight of the mysterious stranger, but he caught their answer. Haven't you seen the markings on his skin? He is not like us, who fell into slavery due to debts, crimes, or misfortune. He was born a slave. A temple slave, to be precise. Not long ago, the Imperials destroyed the last temple of the Shadow God. I suspect that this is how the boy ended up here. The broad-shouldered man cast a look back.
So what? Why should we be afraid of a half-forgotten weakling god? He couldn't even save his temples.
Despite the other men's attitudes, the third person remained calm. The Empire is protected by the mighty war god. Of course, they're not afraid to burn down a few temples. But we, here, are not protected by anything or anyone. Do you want to risk angering a god? The broad-shouldered man grunted, not willing to answer. Their conversation was stopped by a young soldier riding a beautiful white horse. Clad in a simple leather cuirass, armed with a spear and a short sword, he looked dignified and noble. To Sonny's irritation, the asshole was really pretty, too. If this was a historical drama, the soldier would be a male lead. There was no particular menace in his voice, even something resembling concern. What is going on here? When everyone hesitated, the gentle-voiced slave answered, It is nothing, sir. We are all just tired and cold, especially our young friend over there. This journey is truly too hard for someone that young. The soldier looked at Sonny with pity, and the teen felt resentment bubble up in him. Who was this soldier to look at him like that? He couldn't be that much older. The soldier sighed and took a flask from his belt before extending it to Sonny. Bear with it a little more, child. We will stop for the night soon. For now, here, drink some water. Being called a child struck close to home for Sonny. He was 18, but due to his thin body and small stature, both caused by malnourishment, Sonny was often mistaken for someone younger. Usually, he didn't hesitate to use it to his advantage. But for now, for some reason, being called a child irked him. Still, he was thirsty. He was about to take the flask when a whip cracked in the air, and suddenly Sonny was in a world of pain. He stumbled, once again pulling on the chain and causing the shifty slave behind him to curse. Another soldier, this one older and angrier, stopped his horse a few steps back. The whip that sliced the back of Sonny's tunic open and drew blood belonged to him. Without even glancing at the slaves, the older soldier pierced his younger colleague with a disdainful glare.
What do you think you're doing?
The young soldier's face darkened. I was just giving this boy some water. The older soldier glowered.
He'll receive water with the rest of them once we camp.
The pretty one attempted to argue, but his fellow soldier wasn't willing to listen.
Shut your These slaves are not your friends, understood? They're not even people. Treat them like people and they'll begin imagining things.
The young soldier looked at Sonny, then lowered his head and put the flask back on his belt. His companion nodded.
Don't let me catch you making friends with the slaves again, newbie. Or next time it will be your back tasting my whip.
As if to illustrate his intention, the older soldier cracked his whip in the air and rode past them, radiating threat and anger. Sonny watched him go with well-concealed malice. I don't know how, but I will watch you die first. Then he turned his head and glanced in the direction of the younger soldier, who was falling behind with his head still lowered. And you second. The entire interaction awakened something in Sonny. He'd been so distraught by the hand he was dealt. He felt defeated, ready to give up. But this anger stoked his drive to survive. He wouldn't be treated this way, counted out. He was going to survive and become awakened. He was going to turn his curse into a blessing, and for once in his goddamn life,